anytime you're going to make a deal, there's going to have to be concessions. There's going to have to be concessions by the Russians and concessions by the Ukrainians, of course, as well. So that's tough. This is tough when you have a war and people have died. For example, on the Ukrainian side, they've paid an enormous price in this war. So have the Russians, but the Ukrainians have paid a big price in this war. Those concessions aren't easy.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio talking with Larry Kudlow about concessions, negotiations with Russia. Let's bring in Fox News senior strategic analyst, retired General Jack Keane. General, thanks for being here. This comes after Special Envoy Witkoff made his way to Moscow, met with Putin, and the word back was it went very well, according to the president. So well that he wants to have face-to-face meetings with Putin and Zelenskyy, possibly as early as next week. What do you see with this, even though we don't have the details, the nitty-gritty of behind the scenes?
Yeah, well, it's likely, as the words indicate, that there probably is some progress here. And the fact there's going to be a face-to-face meeting, after all, that in itself is different than what's been taking place. Look at the president has a lot of leverage here, and Putin understands it. And what am I saying? I mean, we saw Putin stalling for months. Wouldn't go to a 30-day ceasefire. Wouldn't even go near any of it, and had unbelievable onerous demands, concerning the Ukrainians. And then he thought he'd frustrate Trump so much that he would walk away and not support Ukraine. Well, something different has happened. He's made a decision to support Ukraine and actually take the American taxpayer off the table, which I think we could have done in the previous administration. And secondly, support sanctions or tariffs on the Russians. And at this time, they've worked around those sanctions in the past. This time they're going to be pretty significant.
Well, just today with the India, another 25%, right, because India was buying Russian oil. Now it's up to 50% for the Indians. They're pushing back, but the Russians would feel that.
Yeah, and the other thing I think that Putin sees, and we can't underestimate this, Trump issued an ultimatum to the Iranians. Come to a deal in 60 days. 61st day, he gives a green light to Israel to attack Iran. And then, on about the 11th day, we conduct a decisive attack that ends the war. Putin sees that. So he knows that Trump is dead serious about tariffs and sanctions. There's no rhetoric here. There's no bluff here. He's going to follow through. So hopefully something positive comes out of it. If this is just another meeting and another stall, I mean, certainly the president's going to see right through that.
Zelenskyy took to X, saying, right on my way from our brigades here in the Sumy region, I spoke with President Trump. This conversation happened after President Trump's representative Witkoff visited Moscow. Our joint position with our partners is absolutely clear. The war must end, and it must be done honestly. European leaders were on the call, and I'm grateful to each of them for their support. We discussed what was spelled out in Moscow. Ukraine will definitely defend its independence. We all need a lasting and reliable peace. Russia must end the war that it itself started. Thank you to everyone who stands with Ukraine. So he's sending out a hopeful message. The question is, as you look at the map of what has been Russian controlled and what Ukraine is controlling, it really hasn't shifted that much, and there's been this back and forth. So it's going to be tough to get to the brass tacks of what they're going to give up.
Yeah,
to Rubio's
certainly.
point.
I mean, to dramatize for our audience, Bakhmut, that took place over a couple of years ago when the Russians took that city. We talked about it here. It's been 26 months, and they've been trying to take the next town. It's called Shavziv Yar. 26 months, and that town is 6.8 miles away from Bakhmut. All that time, and they're about ready to take it. And that means that the progress has been made in yards and not miles. That's a fact. And you're absolutely right, that map hasn't changed. Putin knows all of that. And he's got economic issues even without the tariffs and sanctions that are beginning to burden him in a way that they have not in the past. So there's pressure on him. Not talked about enough in the States here, because he advertises that he's winning the war. But your map, and you've been showing it consistently, says something different.
Let me turn your attention to Israel and Hamas and Gaza. We've seen the efforts for food aid. We had Bill Hemmer just on the ground inside Gaza and some of those sites. The president's clearly engaged on that front. But he's also, it seems, saying to Netanyahu, go ahead, take out Hamas, occupy what you have to occupy, go forward. It seems that that's the message.
Yeah. I think it is, and it's consistent with where the president has been ever since he came into office. You know, there were restrictions on weapons. He removed all of it, said, is there anything else you need? Yes, there is. Yes, there are, and he gave them more of that, and he's backed them. He's never got involved in the tactics and how to conduct a war, which Biden and his team always did, even though they weren't qualified to do that. And I think he's given them a free hand. I don't believe what the prime minister is advertising certainly is a campaign designed to occupy Gaza. I think, look, he's not going to say it, but that means it's temporary. They're not going to occupy Gaza permanently and sustain the IDF there. They have a small military. Most of it's in the reserves. That's not sustainable. But they want to put pressure on Hamas here to come to. They're not going to do a 60-day ceasefire deal anymore, I don't think. The next negotiations will be about an end-of-war strategy. Netanyahu and his generals want some leverage here in getting that.
And you think the food supply issue is going to be a push by President Trump?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, you know, they're going to continue with that food distribution. It's now secure. It's now getting in the hands of the Gazan people. And we don't have to relitigate all the problems associated with that. There's UN problems associated. There's problems with world organizations in doing it. And there's certainly major problems with Hamas. But, yeah, this is a tough part of the war we're coming to, Brett, because there's still people alive that are being held hostage. And look, they took the hostages for one reason, at the end of the day, to ensure their own survival, the leader's survival. And that's kind of where we are.
General, as always, thanks for the time.
Yeah, great talking to you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.